Welcome back to another episode of the AirDrop here on Firstclicks, and we are of course going to talk about the M2 or the M1X going into mass production, what it means, why all the rumors are ramping up right now, especially for a new Mac device coming up, maybe even at WWDC. We're going to check it all out, we're going to see what it could mean, and obviously we're going to dissect it to see what we can expect at WWDC and beyond. So now, let's just click straight into this one. This is a hard video for me, because for me it is just so exciting. I really want a new Mac with an M1X chip or an M2 or whatever marketing is going to be on that chip, I don't really care. But an upgrade on the M1 will be fantastic. So like I said in the video about the iMac before the spring event, every researcher who is just looking at clues just because he wants to prove his own point should be taken with a small, very small grain of salt. I really want this Mac to be a true thing, so I'm going to try and stay as objective as possible. Now, to start on a serious note, obviously we have this now quite old news that the M1X or M2 enters mass production right now. So usually companies like Apple don't put an order out at partners to mass produce a chip if they're not sure they're going to sell it soon, because having these chips laying in a warehouse somewhere is not going to be cost effective or anything. But in the current state of the world, I can actually imagine a situation where Apple wants to be sure that they have these chips ready for the September, December, November, whatever date it's going to be event for the Macs, right? So imagine that these Macs are actually going to come out at the end of the year. I can imagine a world where Apple is going to be like, well, maybe we should just ramp up production right now so we are sure that we're going to be able to take that demand. Because, well, the M1 obviously made a name for itself, and the M1X and the M2 is probably going to lift that name even up further. So that level of popularity is going to be insane, and I can definitely imagine that Apple did it for that reason. But on the other hand, I also know that Tim Cook is the king. Like, the king, no doubt about it, the king of supply chain. So he knows what he has to do to get things ready. Obviously things like chips, every single part of a product that he needs, he knows how to build up that supply chain. He's the king of it. I have no doubt about that. And besides that, apart from the iPad Pro, right, the new iPad Pro with a 12.9-inch display, I didn't really hear any big rumors of Apple not being able to get their hands on certain chips. And I'm pretty sure that with this iPad Pro, it's not the M1 chip that has a shortage, it's the chip that actually controls the mini LED display. So I tend to believe that Apple started mass production because they have a new Mac coming up soon. So a new launch is imminent. Now, does that mean that we are going to see anything as soon as WWDC? Because that is literally around the corner. It's literally just a month and a few days. It's mental. Like, obviously this is going to be the longest month, but just talking about it, it sounds really, really close. So is it realistic to believe that in a month or two, we actually have our hands on the first Mac with an M1X or an M2 or whatever they want to call it? I would say it's actually believable. I would say it's actually realistic that we're going to see that upgrade. Why would Apple do it this fast? They recently got a lot of clout for the new iMac. They recently got a lot of clout for the new iPad with an M1. The M1 is doing fine. The Macs are selling incredibly well. It's like the market for the Macs is growing faster than ever before. So why not ride it out? Why not lift on the cloud? Why not lift on the popularity of M1 and then see whatever we can do next year or at the end of this year, right? And the answer is Intel. Intel has made it really hard for Apple to actually maintain the way Macs are being sold right now. If you go to the actual Apple store, like the app or the website, you will see that the M1 is actually being sold as an entry-level product. And that means that it's technically marketed as an inferior product to the Intel-based Macs. And that's a problem, because Intel has been bashing Apple over and over again. And of course, that on itself is not the main problem, and obviously not going to affect a current strategy from Apple. But it does mean that even Apple at this point is saying the exact same thing that Intel is saying. And that's a bad look. That's a bad look, especially right now with this competitive fun that the CEO of Intel, for some reason, believes that it is funny. Let's see how funny it is when the M1X or the M2 is actually released. I strongly believe that Apple just in general doesn't really like to have to upsell people to an Intel product when they're already able to build a chip that is actually so much more powerful than whatever Intel chip ever on the face of the planet of this earth. It's just a bad customer experience. If you say, well, our own chips are inferior to the chips of our competitor that's bashing us constantly over and over again. And I know that last fact is still just marketing and who cares, right? But it's still part of the customer experience. And if there is a buzzword for Apple, it's the customer experience. Like, everything has been built for a good customer experience. Obviously, Apple CEO Tim Cook said himself that this was going to take about 2 years. Like, the transition from Intel to Apple Silicon for the Mac was going to take about 2 years. But again, I strongly believe that Intel has made it really hard for Apple to wait any longer and to keep upselling normal customers that come to their Apple store every single day or go to their online store and see that every single time they want to upgrade their machine to something bigger, to something better, quote unquote better, they have to opt for an Intel chip. That's how I see it. Well, maybe you see it differently, right? These are just a bunch of thoughts, right? A bunch of theories based on rumors and leaks and stuff that's floating on the internet. There is one thing that I really don't want to mention on this channel at all, but we obviously all know about it. And I will try to talk around it as much as possible because I don't want to give this any screen time other than just the fact that it happened. There is a certain group of individuals that did something which confirmed a bunch of stuff Mac related. And we all know what I'm talking about right here. I'm not going to talk about it because I don't condone any of this. I don't really care about their group. I don't really care about their ideas. I don't really care about any of the shit that they want to pull. I think it's disgusting. I don't want to talk about it too much. But this is stuff that I see myself, like I take it as a confirmation that this is actively being worked on. And obviously the data that has been revealed already being present at a facility from a partner obviously means something. This is already at the stage that certain partners are looking at it and obviously already giving feedback on security level, engineering level, testing level. Nobody knows what the reason was for that data to be there. But it does mean that this is actively being worked on, not just by Apple, but also by partners. And for me, that signals a bunch of things. But most importantly, it means that this is not a pipe dream. Like, multiple serious people with a serious reputation, like Quo, John Prosser, people are talking about this as being something that could be realized as a physical thing for us to buy in the second half of the year 2021, which is what we're going to enter in June. And lucky for us, 7 days after we enter that phase, Apple has an event planned. And that can't be a coincidence. If you put everything together, if you look at all the data, if you see that the M1X or M2 is entering mass production right now, if you know that Tim Cook is the best of the best in terms of supply chain, and I can tell you that he would only hire the best of the best in terms of whatever, but also supply chain. They have that under control. If you compare that with the fact that you have official Apple employees telling customers that if they want to upgrade their Mac to a certain professional level, that they will have to go home with a Mac that contains a chip from a competitor that is actually bashing Apple right now for moving to Apple Silicon. Basically having Apple officials kinda say that Apple Silicon right now is inferior to that technology that the competitor is talking about in their ads, right? Basically confirming those ads. And then if you then on top of that look at the people with a certain reputation, right? Like Minchi Kuo, like Mark Gurman, actual people with a reputation of leaking are saying that this new mysterious Mac is going to be in stores in the second half of this year, which is obviously happening in June, and 7 days in that second half of this year, Apple conveniently has already booked an Apple event, WWDC. I don't believe that's a coincidence, man. This is exactly how it went with the Apple Spring event. There were loads of people saying, no, there is no iMac. Other people were saying, yeah, there is going to be an iMac. You even got people going back and forth. Yes, there is going to be an iMac. No, maybe, yeah, I don't know. Whatever, right? There was so much going on, but it was ramping up in the exact same way. All these rumors, all these leaks, even people shaving off their eyebrows. It went down and it was crazy. But I feel like we're not done yet. And Apple is definitely not done yet. This WWDC is going to be insane. I expect a lot for the iPad Pro because it got an M1 chip and Apple doesn't put hardware into a device for no reason. So that is going to get a big unveil there as well. And I'm actually not ready to call it 100% right now. But I feel like there is a big chance that we are going to see the Mac on WWDC, but we will keep you posted, especially on our show, the Firstclicks show, because there we're going to launch the road to WWDC 2 weeks before the event. So we will definitely keep you posted on what we believe is going to happen at WWDC, definitely in terms of Mac, but also in terms of the iPad Pro and whatever else you can imagine. So definitely subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, definitely like this video, and stay tuned to the channel. For now, obviously, I wish you guys a very good weekend, and click on.